well over 6 feet with a long torso that sloped down to a heavy gut. He had a large bald head and a dark mustache and bad posture that might put people at ease. He was the contact Jerry had told me about. Officially, he was a foreman for a massive construction firm called Aliadas S.A. Unofficially, he was the man that the president of Aliadas S.A. called if he had a problem. Nico knew everyone and could fix anything. He had spent his life in this working-class neighborhood in Buenos Aires, which meant that he knew every union from the ground up, and he had built houses for the rich for 20 years, which meant he knew the old money families who summered in Punta del Este and Mar del Plata, the core of the Buenos Aires elite. The president of Aliadas was friendly with the CIA because communists haunted his dreams. He lived in fear of the nationalization of his company, and some said that as rumors of a coup began to circulate, he had started to import rifles from Brazil to his ranch in Corrientes. In defense of his interests, he offered the time and expertise of Nico Fermetti to the CIA. Nico sighed and murmured a few words to his wife. She looked at me hatefully and went out to the living room. I heard the TV snap on, and then the sound of a mournful, full-throated male warble. The singer was popular, but I couldn't remember his name. "You're very casual," I said to Nico, still in English. I could just see the edge of his wife's gray permanent through the doorway. The angel Gabriel watched me balefully from a framed print above her wingback chair. "This is my home," he said. I lifted the hard case onto the table and snapped it open. I let it sit there, open, for a moment. I was proud of the bugs. I packed them carefully and lingered over them, and I enjoyed the effect they had on the few people I could show them to. There were nearly 3 dozen of them, wrapped in cotton batting, beside my other equipment, my transceiver and soldering kit and the extra rolls of wire. "No bigger than buttons," Nico said. I lifted out the 6 on top. Each membrane was the size of a quarter, with a half-wavelength antenna of 4¼ inches. "You could sew it into a jacket. It's so small," he said. He looked yearningly at them. I set one in his open palm. "It weighs nothing," he said, waving his hand gently up and down. "These days, my God, the technology." "They're simple," I said. "The basic design is 20 years old already." "My children must all study electronics," he said. The coffee had cooled enough to drink. I sipped it and watched him turn the object over in his thick hands. I had dreams, sometimes, that I was walking through a mansion decorated with crumbling plaster moldings of fruit and vines and flowers, and there were bugs glowing through the baseboards in rows, pulsing. "I have 35 of them," I said. "They can be set 2 inches deep behind wood or plaster. You can go 3 or 4 inches behind plastic. They told me you have access to the buildings." "I have access to everything," he said. Aliadas had the contracts for every federal and city building, and Nico could map the wiring of the light switches in the Congreso Nacional for you, or tell you how recently the bathrooms in the presidential palace had been painted, if you gave him a few hours to make phone calls. Nico's apartment was modest, perched in a 3-story building on a side street in Barracas, but there were small touches that gave him away as a big man. The television was color. Yadro pieces lined the walnut-stained mantel in the living room, pastel sculptures of young women engaged in clean-looking farm work, girl in kerchief with goose, girl in bonnet with goat. In the place of honor, at a startling 12 inches tall, was a clown weighed down with dinner plate buttons and a ruff, playing a mandolin. I knew how much those cost, and they had to be shipped in from Spain wrapped in yards of quilted padding. The Señora's purchases, of course, and